comedy dish.
Co-starring Rick Wright and Stephen Allen Green.
And here we are.
Hey, Rick. How are you?
Okay. How's things out there?
Well, first, let me just figure out you look taller than me. Now, maybe this could be a trick with if I did this with my laptop. Yeah, now I'm taller than you.
There we go.
No, wait a minute. Now I'm taller than you. It's starting to rain here. It's apocalypse season here. Apocalypse season here in Hollywood. It's raining. We had sunshine and beautiful visions and visages from out of town up until today. It started raining. 2 days ago, the Santa Monica Freeway caught on fire.
I read about that
from underneath. Yeah. So it's created. It's the main. It's the main artery into.
It's the downtown part of. It's Interstate 10, right?
Yeah, it's downtown, but it's also the interchange. So if you're coming from Pasadena or the Valley or Hollywood, you got to go through there to get to the West Side, which includes West Hollywood, Beverly Hills, Culver City, Westwood, Santa Monica, the beach.
Yeah,
is all through, the 110, which goes alongside downtown, and then you take the 10, which is the Santa Monica Freeway, the I-10, Interstate 10, west. Well, now you can't
goes from Pasadena to downtown, right? Isn't it 110 goes from Pasadena to downtown? Isn't it?
Yeah, it does. It does. I think the Pasadena Freeway, which I believe is the first freeway in the United States of America, is the 110.
I think you are correct, sir.
But my point is this.
Yeah.
My point is this. This is why I wanted to be not a defense lawyer, but the lawyer that it could be defense, but humiliates the court, basically. Tights wearing humiliates the court with pointing out. But may I point out, take my time speaking, that the problem is that it's created a ripple effect. So yesterday I picked up our old buddy Fraser Smith at LAX and had to get him to the Laugh Factory within only an hour. Now, I used to be able to do that in 30 minutes, even during rush hour. Now it's an hour and more because it's a ripple effect. So people have to get off the Santa Monica Freeway and find another way to go, and then
so all the available routes suddenly get blocked up, and I can imagine. And how soon are they going to get that?
It's a big I don't know. It's a big I don't know. We were discussing this because our mayor, the Honorable Karen Bass, ran on a platform of cleaning up the homelessness and the homeless problem, and especially in Hollywood. Here in Hollywood, it's pretty rugged. And so what happened apparently with this freeway was the city leases out the area under the freeway. So just to point out, these freeways are when they get to interchanges and stuff, they get elevated. So you're like on a bridge. First you're on the ground. Is that a good description?
Yeah, I remember those interchanges. It's like, sometimes the overpasses are like 30 feet up from the ground.
It's like Fritz Lang's Metropolis. It's kind of cool, except for the traffic. But the city has been leasing. There's a construction outside. I'm gonna have to close my window. But anyway, the city's been leasing the area underneath these freeways that are above the ground. And then apparently this particular lessor or lessee, I think lessor, sublet it out illegally. Someone put a bunch of flammable items, and then it was believed to be arson, which I don't know if they're suspecting purposeful arson or accidental arson. And accidental arson, there's been several fires caused by homeless people in Hollywood and downtown. When I lived on the building across from Netflix up until 2 years ago, there was a big explosion behind our building because there was a homeless person who had set a big giant tank of propane that the gas station next door was storing, probably most likely illegally, but it was like a bomb going off. So there's fires all the time. I see, especially on my Uber route. So I see a lot of shit that I would never even think about if I wasn't Ubering. Neighborhoods where waiting for someone to be picked up, and standing next to them is a homeless person on fire.
Oh God. Yes. Well, in London, the Home Secretary Suella Braverman had a plan of just dismantling the tents that the homeless were living in. But she was fired on Monday from Home Secretary. So
That must have been tense.
well, it was, yeah, people were intense. But yeah, so she was fired, and they moved the foreign secretary moved him over to her position, and moving back in to Parliament as the foreign secretary is David Cameron.
Oh, I read this echoed through my,
Yeah.
Are you kidding? David Cameron's back in government?
Yeah, and he wasn't even an MP at the time. He pretty much retired from the whole thing after
Why
Brexit.
David Cameron as foreign secretary? He's conservative anyway, isn't he?
Yeah, well, that's part of it. They
Who runs England now? Is it the Tories or the?
Yeah, the Tories are still in charge, but they're
Labour?
going to lose in the next election. It seems pretty evident. Even
Go
though
back to Labour, because I always did better when Labour was in charge.
yeah, Labor doesn't have a particularly good guy at the top. This guy named Keir Starmer, who's just he's very middle of the road, and the guy they had before was too progressive, and
You know what? This is what I'm going to do to get back to England. I'm going to run for political office, PM, member of Parliament.
Yeah, okay, yeah. PM is Prime Minister, MP, yes.
Oh, MP. Sorry, I'm the dyslexic PM.
Yeah,
but my friend Claire Fox is some sort of member of Parliament now for a few years. I met her in, I think it was Edinburgh. She was running a very liberal, lefty political magazine called Living Marxism. Actually, LM, they had to call it. And they got into some controversy with calling out, I think it was ITV, the third network, for a fake news story where they had Bosnian prisoners behind barbed wire like this, and it was proven. LM was saying no, that's manipulated. He's on the free side of the barbed wire, looking in, and so ITV sued them and shut them down. I think they lost. But anyway, so I met her. I think it was in Edinburgh, and I did one of the free speech gigs for Claire, and also there was a very interesting I think Claire got me into. There was a free speech panel done at the ICA, which is a artistic adjunct to Buckingham Palace. So it's just up the mall. Okay. The mall being the road to Buckingham Palace. And there was an evening, a very interesting evening about censorship throughout the world, and in particular in media. And I was put there to represent America.
Oh gosh, yeah. America didn't
first
know.
Banned at the Improv, and now representing America. Yeah. So, yeah.
That story sounds similar to kind of how Piers Morgan got famous, because he was the editor of the Mirror, which is lefty tabloid basically, and he published these photos that were showing, I think they were Iraqi prisoners being peed on by guards, and it turned out they were fake photos. So he got sacked. But somehow,
turns out it was a typical evening in West Hollywood.
Yeah, he was. Somehow he parlayed that into being a media personality, and somehow
listen this. I mean, yeah. I mean, I've been thinking about, especially with the Laughter Foundation, collapsing like a flan in a cupboard, as Eddie Izzard would say. When he referred to the Ottoman Empire in his routine about flags. Flags? Do you have a flag? You know that Eddie Izzard routine?
Don't know it, no. But
it's one of the most famous routines. Anyway, so so the Laughter Foundation, I don't know. I can't tell if we had to cancel the show, so it's a long story.
Oh
Amy
no.
was helping me get it going. I've had to cancel the show tomorrow night.
Yeah. I knew that. I just remembered that was going to be tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night. So I'm thinking, okay, and then yesterday I posted a tiny little bit about it on Facebook, and I got a call from a wonderful person up north who was a Facebook friend who I spoke to once and a long time ago. And anyway, he's semi-retired, but knows a lot of people. And then he hooked me up with 2 more people I had conversations with. I got to think how much I want to do it. I got to think, what's the purpose? What does it serve? Does anybody really need my services or what I'm offering? And I thought, it just boils down to me wanting to produce a show. But this has been such a heartbreak these last 2 months, and with dealing with the club and their particular way of doing business, and the fact that it was like once the freeway caught on fire, and that means that freeway is now, forget it, right? Who's going to come to this gig? Anyways, I wanted to keep the tickets on sale through tomorrow. But the club owner insisted to pull the show Monday. That's his theory. I wish I'd known in advance he was going to do that. I had no control. But anyway, aside from that, let's bring on our guest.
Yes, because you mentioned her a minute ago.
Yeah, I'm in a rambling, and you got to stop me on that. Amy Brick. So I met Amy a couple of months ago, and I worked down at Keith Raisin's gig in Redondo Beach. Great gig at the Rec Room. Her bio, I went on her website and spoke to her publicist. Basically, she's been dreaming of performing stand-up since she was 6. And she loved Robin Williams and listened to him on a cassette. And people have described her as a, quote, edgy soccer mom with a dry wit. She's played everywhere where a professional plays, Comedy Store, Original Room, the Improv, Brea, the Ice House, Pasadena, and
Laugh Factory.
And I don't know if she's played the Laugh Factory. We're going to find out.
Yep. Okay.
Please welcome Amy Brick.
Well, hey there, guys. Thank you for the amazing introduction.
You're welcome. It's part of what we do.
I wrote it.
Thank you. That was amazing.
It's what we do.
Yeah, nice.
It's what we're dedicated to doing.
Or
how are you?
Yeah. I'm good. I'm just trying to survive the rain, and I was very interested in all the things you guys were saying about the freeway. I read what Newsom was saying. That's our governor, as everyone knows.
Yeah.
And he sounded like a landlord. Like he's like, well, I've been trying to get these people out, and I just can't get it figured out. And I'm like, okay, this situation about underneath this freeway a little too well for me. I want you to be doing bigger things than dealing with, underneath the freeway.
Well, I think it's what I was saying wasn't what other people are saying. Really, is that it's if the fire can be traced back to the homeless situation. I'm not let's exterminate the homeless with a big can of Raid. I'm all for humanitarian progress and taking care of each other. But regardless, it's a dangerous situation. I've been living in Hollywood for the past 5 or 6 years, and there's been fires. I mentioned it, and on my Uber job, I'm driving around, before I get to put on my comedy hat and go to the clubs. I'm at all different places, and I've seen all kinds of homeless situations. And, I'm sat there in the car with the doors locked, waiting for a passenger, looking at a little dot on the app as they're walking closer to my car. And last night I drove Frazier from the Laugh Factory back to his house, and he was still, the show was running late. So I decided I'll just wait in the car. And one thing I can't stand is to watch a comedy show unless it's someone I really want to see, or unless it's a show before I'm going on.
Oh, okay.
That makes sense. Don't want to just be there as a spectator. And
no, because then it's like, I don't enjoy myself. And it's not because of what are going on. That can happen, but it's just because, if it's someone really interesting that I haven't seen in a while, I never saw, Tig Notaro, even Patton Oswalt, who was scheduled last night but didn't show, apparently. I say apparently because that's what I was told. Anyway, so I parked my car around the corner on Sunset, just off Sunset. at a space, and I just heard this grunting and whatever, and I go, "What's that?" And I'm looking around, and there was a homeless woman trying to sleep on the sidewalk and grunting, and then she saw me, and then she kept calling me the N-word. I was in my car. She kept calling me the N-word. And
Was it dark?
Man.
Yeah, nighttime. Yeah.
Yeah, that's.
No, I have no idea. I'm not the whitest guy in the world, but I'm pretty white.
Well, it was maybe she was just seeing the beard.
Would you stop with this awkward part of the conversation? Yes. I don't know why. She was just. I don't think it was a racist thing. I think it was just sort of a street thing. And so
That means she's accepting you.
No, she was very angry.
Oh, okay.
And then she called me old man. Called me old man. And then she turned her butt to me and dropped trout.
Nice. This is why I don't go to LA, but you know.
I don't know what to do. I mean, these people, a lot of these people need physical and mental care. They can't just be housed.
Right. And the scary thing is, so without going into too much detail about who he is, I know somebody who was pretty high ranking in the city of LA, like in the 80s, and was very, very involved with the Olympics and like the right hand to a very famous mayor there. And I was just at a party and asked him, "Hey, so what do you think the answer is?" And he said, I have zero idea. So if this guy who, should have a pretty good idea has zero idea what to do with the homeless, I mean, I just don't know what can be done. But at the end of the day, I mean, I think it goes back to in the 60s when Ronald Reagan took away a lot of care for people who had, who were legitimately experiencing some major mental breakdown.
This was 1981.
Well, I think it was the 60s.
Well, he was governor. He was elected governor in 66. So.
Yeah, this is when he was governor.
Oh, when he was governor.
Mm-hmm. So he took I don't know exactly.
Oh, that's right. Yes,
right.
He closed down mental institutions.
About 74.
And everyone went to LA, right? Is that the idea?
Well, I mean, he closed down mental hospitals. And then also, I understand the point of wanting people to have their own autonomy, that, they shouldn't just be locked up forever. But also there's a point where if you're pooping yourself in the middle of Hollywood Boulevard, you need to go somewhere and you need help.
Yeah. Oh, look, first let me apologize. Let me first apologize to everybody for that. It was a long Uber shift last night, and I'd eaten at Del Taco. So I apologize. Are you talking about what happened? Oh, you're not. You don't even know about that.
Hey, don't put down Del Taco, because Del Taco is the child of Noggles, and Noggles is the best ever.
Well, I hope Al Bamani's watching, because he'll have an opinion about this.
I miss those places. They don't have
don't you have nachos?
They have Taco Bell over here.
No, but don't they have? Isn't there? There was a chain of greasy Mexican food restaurants in London when I left.
There was one that was started by a couple of Californians that's called Tortilla. That's kind of a Mexicatessen feel to it, and it's on the right track. It's not bad, but it's still can't compete with. Still, my favorite place in LA is Los Tacos on Santa Monica Boulevard. It's in a little mini mall with a 7-Eleven.
I went there recently. That's one of your favorite places?
That what they do with the burrito that I've never seen anywhere else is they put some melted cheese on it, on the top of it, and they got either red sauce or green sauce, and they put the whole thing under a flame for about 30 seconds, and so the cheese melts into everything else.
I wonder if it's still like that. When was the last time you were there?
Within the last 10 years, I think.
Okay, that means it's not there anymore. No, actually, I ate there within the last year, but I don't remember that experience. I moved to your former hometown, San Francisco, back in, I think, 2012, and I discovered the Mexican food up there is not only comparable to what's down here, but in many ways superior.
Better.
There's a place better. There's a place.
Thank you for breaking down superior. I appreciate that.
Yes.
Again, she did this pre-show. I'm starting to like her sarcasm. I think we need to get T-shirts and buttons for. Amy doesn't know this, but she's my latest protege,
Okay.
comedy
God.
protege. I'm gonna make her famous. I'm gonna just do a little
Okay.
polishing around the edges.
And she'll
make
get
her
famous and forget about you, right? And
No, it's not famous and forget about me. It's famous and then get her subconsciously addicted to something, not cocaine or crack or anything like that, or fentanyl, but something odd, like something that I can control, something that only she can get from me, a certain way that I pepper grind on her Roquefort dressing or green goddess and get her addicted to that and then control her life. That's my plan.
Oh, you're on the right track with the food thing.
There you go. So anyway, we were talking about, so there's this one place in San Francisco, if it's still there, I pray to God there is. It's if you're in the Haight and you want to get to the Mission, you take a bus that winds its way through the hills a little bit. So you get to the Mission and it stops at, I think, 18th and maybe Valencia. Anyway, on the corner, there's a Mexicatessen place where like cafeteria style, you line up in front of the glass food displays.
I think it's La Cumbre. That's one I know. That's at 16th and Mission, or 16th and Valencia. Yeah.
Wait. La Cumbre, LACUMBRE?
Yeah. And they do the Mexicatessen thing where you tell them whether you want a burrito or a taco, and then they have all the different meats and beans and stuff, and you can say whether you want rice or cheese and so on, and or
like a better Chipotle.
Well, Chipotle
hang on, let me.
They have those.
Yeah, like a better
Chipotle over here
better
too.
Chipotle is an interesting way of saying it. Let me present what I found.
That is the proper way to say it, isn't it? It is Chipotle, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It should be.
Okay.
Is this it? Is this the one? Tequila La Cumbre, San Francisco.
Yeah, that's the one.
Taqueria
La Cumbre.
Birthplace of the Mission style. Is that how they did it with the Mission style burrito? I don't get that.
Yeah, that's a new thing, that the birthplace thing. But the marquee, the white signs there are exactly the same, and yes, that is definitely the place. So,
can we talk about something really important for just a second? Why are the eggs?
There's nothing more important than burritos. So hold your.
Why are the eggs in England so much better?
Good question. Now, we should ask my friend Mimi Smith up in Port Angeles. Mimi was very influential and important, and a key person in the 1980 San Francisco Bay Area comedy scene. She ran a room in Stockton. But what she's listen. Mimi wrote a book. Right? Mimi wrote a book which she hired me to read this 800+ page cookbook, 800+ fucking pages of a great book with history of eggs. She gave me a copy. Let me bring this in.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And her husband, John Dvorak, she's Mimi Smith Dvorak. Her husband does a podcast with Adam Curry, very popular. It's the second most popular podcast in the world under Joe Rogan, I think. And Adam Curry, who was on MTV, is credited with inventing the podcast. So there's a lot of interesting connections.
I remember Adam Curry when he was a VJ on MTV years ago. I wonder if the eggs in Britain, because they're all brown shell, I wonder if that has anything to do with it. Because they're just
so much better.
You can't find white shelled eggs around here. But they are, I made an omelet this morning even.
Oh, so, you're killing me.
Yeah.
So your question is, are eggs better in England?
Why are
eggs? It's a question. It's true.
It is true. And I was reading something just randomly the other day about, they were comparing, I think, ketchup, Heinz ketchup in America and Heinz ketchup in England. And it might have just been something I saw. I was scrolling on Facebook and saw it. But basically, it listed the ingredients. And of course, in America, there's like 2 types of corn syrup added. There's sugar, there's salt, there's things that we don't even think about. And in England, it's just natural stuff. Let me see if I can find it. But food is a lot better over there. I know people always say, oh, England has terrible food. It's the opposite.
Yeah, you just need to know where to find it, where to go for it. And for the first couple of years I was here, I kept going to diners that just had really greasy and awful food. But then you raise your stakes a little bit, pay a little bit more, and you get excellent meals. Pretty much at where I live in Crouch End, there's about 6 different restaurants that Maggie and I alternate between, and they're all good in their own ways. So
dining out in England was great, and because also it's like, let's have Indian food. Well, there's a lot of great Indian restaurants because India was the jewel in the crown of the British Empire, but there's also so many Indian residents, and there's an Indian section. In fact, I think Brick Lane, which was initially the Jewish section, where you wanted not a bagel, but a bagel. They call it a bagel. You wanted Jewish food, you go to Brick Lane. And it's, in the last, I think, 20 years, it's been...
No relation, right?
Yes. I own the whole
street.
street.
Good point.
Yeah.
Indian food there. Great Indian food. And there's even, I think it still exists, in Portobello Road, in the shopping, the kind of artisanal shopping district of Notting Hill, Portobello Road. There's a spice shop, a little shop dedicated to spices. Wow. There's I was just saying to my friend Lauren Kraut from San Francisco, I picked up from the airport, and I was saying, I've lived in San Francisco, New York, London, Los Angeles, and it's like the thing that I miss the most about all the other cities is an aesthetic. LA doesn't have an aesthetic. There's no aesthetic. It's like when I was in New York, I put on my headphones, I listened to, Danny Elfman's soundtrack to Edward Scissorhands, and I had my laptop, and I'd walk the 25 blocks down to Cafe Reggio in the Village to work on my novel. And I felt the rain, and I smelled the homeless, and I, almost got run over by a cab. And it was just an aesthetic. I felt like it was in a 1970s black and white movie. It didn't matter whether I was succeeding or not. It didn't matter at all. And there was an aesthetic to New York. And in San Francisco, there's a magical.
The old joke goes, what's the difference between LA and yogurt? Yogurt has a culture. So
but when people say culture, LA has plenty of culture. Some of the greatest art museums in the world are here.
I've heard that joke in San Francisco, so that's probably...
No, but I mean, I think it makes sense. It's just, I don't think I'm still trying to put a button on what I'm trying to literally say about what it is that LA doesn't have. I think it might just be that it's overshadowed or replaced by the aesthetic of ambition. Culture is a very forgiving word. It's the culture. It's the way it is. It's the way it's developed and evolved.
I think I always felt
aesthetic is more of a choice.
I always felt that LA was like, you would, for example, you'd be in San Francisco to perfect your art, and then if you wanted to sell it, you'd move to LA.
Sell out. Of course, but that's changed. We look at Matt Rife. I don't know what city he's from. I think the Midwest. He's got a Netflix special. He's this good-looking and good comic whose 1 or 2 TikTok videos went viral. He's doing some crowd work and went viral. And then I was hearing on the way over about our good friend Leah Knauer, who I roast battled with. One of her videos on TikTok went viral, and now she's getting all the work. So I mean all the work. I mean like we're taking my work away.
Making a living, yes, making a good living.
Yeah. Well, I mean, here's the thing about making a good living and making a living is that's all a very personal thing. When I lost all my money, I went from $200 martini dinners to stretching a $3.50 Trader Joe's over 2 or 3 meals. So,
But you were still at Trader Joe's. It wasn't like you were actually poor.
No, I'm not saying I was poor. Yeah, good point. No, I'm saying it's the. I think of all the fucking money I wasted on these expensive restaurants in New York and Paris and Los Angeles. Wasted. All right, so let's go back here and talk about Heinz ketchup before we get into our first pub quiz. So we're talking about Heinz ketchup. I don't know if you can see this. I'm going to try to make it bigger and get rid of this.
Okay. Yeah, I can read it with my glasses. So yes.
Okay, so the U.S. version, tomatoes Heinz ketchup has tomato, according to this, whatever this is, tomato concentrate, distilled vinegar, high fructose corn syrup, salt, onion powder, natural flavoring, which I think means the president of Heinz poops in the barrel.
Well, or that's
don't go. There's no reason. There's a lady on the show. No reason to go or with this.
Yeah.
But the UK version. Look at the UK version. According to this, and I believe it, tomatoes, spirit, vinegar, sugar, salt, spice, and herb extracts, and spice. There's no high fructose corn syrup or corn syrup. There's no tomato concentrate, and there's no nebulous, evil-sounding thing as natural flavoring. Food does taste better in England, even especially the American foods, because we have a choice.
Yeah, they definitely, they definitely figured it out.
Well, I think it's just the laws. I think, in fact, some of the laws that allow companies or make companies in America put certain things in their foods, in England they prohibit certain things, those certain things, not just to be contrarian, but because they don't have the same requirements of refrigeration, maybe, or transportation. Maybe it's a matter of, I don't know. I mean, a lot of vegetables and fruits are brought in from the continent. I have friends, Amy, you wouldn't believe this. I have friends in England that, what are you doing this weekend, Peter? Well, me and the wife, we're going to drive to France, have a nice lunch, bring back a couple of bottles of, a lovely Burgundy.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they do. That's like you and me, or you and your husband, or Rick and I, right? When Rick and I were married, driving to Fresno or Palm Springs for the weekend. It makes sense,
I appreciate how you break it down for me. I really do.
Okay, there you go. That's third time. So how do you start that phrase? You go, thank you, or
thank you. I appreciate how you break it down for me.
Okay, she's gonna. All right, look, we're gonna do our pub quiz. We're gonna. I've stopped talking. I've got all my talking out, and we're gonna come back after. We're gonna do a pub quiz, more with Amy Brick, and then we're gonna do maybe another pub quiz, or maybe we'll do our Nicked segment.
We should do Nicked. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So comedy dish will continue after with our pub quiz. Okay, pub quiz. I hand it over to our quiz master, Mr. Brian Seff, or Rick Wright, however you prefer.
Yes, okay.
It's 3 questions per 3 rounds, 1 point per question.
All right.
How do we decide who's going to get to answer it?
Good question. I always forget to talk about this. What's the rule, Rick?
Yeah, whoever says the answer first, says the correct answer. It's not
I got it. It's just spurting out the answer.
Get a buzzer.
Well, you could.
Yeah, we need to get a bell or something.
I don't have a bell right here. Okay.
Yeah, or you can just go or something.
Okay.
Wait a minute.
That would be if I get it wrong. Is if you get it wrong.
Yeah. Okay. I'll do if you get it wrong.
Okay. All right. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Technology is the first category. What's the name of the parent company that owns Google?
I got it.
Go.
ABC? No, it's Alphabet. Alphabet. That's it.
Alphabet
Sorry.
is the correct answer.
Alphabet?
1-0, as they say over here.
Do I keep track or you keep track? Can I trust you?
Yeah.
Wow.
You seem trustworthy.
Well,
we're your hosts. You don't ask those if you can trust them.
You're kidding.
I'm going to sleep on your couch tonight. Can I trust you not to go through my purse while I'm asleep? And thanks for letting me sleep here.
Okay.
Thanks for breaking that down.
All right. This is English question, kind of. But the category is actors and their roles. What English actress is the only one to have played both Queen Elizabeth I and II?
I got it.
Who is that?
Judi Dench, because that's all. I mean, she's everything. No,
It is not Judi Dench. She only played Queen Elizabeth I in
Oh.
Shakespeare in Love.
crap.
The ultra white chick. God, what's her name?
Oh! I know. Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
Not
Go ahead.
Gwyneth Paltrow, but
No, very, very English actress.
yeah. Very, very white
Shown her
skin,
kit.
right?
She's shown her
What?
kit quite a few times, as they say. Shown her kit, as they say.
Am I on the right track though with the very white complexion?
She's won, yeah, and she's won several Oscars. I think
Oh.
she's won more
It's
than
not
one.
Tanya. What is her name? Kate Blanchett?
No, she's Australian.
It's not Kate Blanchett. It's I give up. I know the answer. I'm going to be kicking myself. She was in started that movie Tar.
No, that's Kate Blanchett.
Oh.
It was Helen Mirren.
Oh, that's the other
Oh.
one. There's
Yes,
there's
is the
really
other
two
one.
actresses in England, I feel like.
Yeah, there's Judi Dench and Helen Mirren,
Right.
and I guess Maggie Smith is kind of on that. She's still getting work, but she's almost 90 years old. Okay, album covers. A recent poll placed the cover to what 1991 U.S. album is the most iconic cover of all time, beating Dark Side of the Moon and Sgt. Pepper.
91.
I got it.
1991.
I got it.
Give it a go.
Nirvana.
It is Nirvana. Nevermind. Yes.
Wow, I was going to say Thriller, but that was previous to 91, wasn't it?
Yep. So that's okay.
Wow, Amy's killing it. What's the score? It's like 2-0. It's like 2-0.
Yes. Okay, one more.
Okay, one more. Wow.
Let's try this one. Okay, this is a good one. To the nearest classic rock, to the nearest minute, how long is Queen's Bohemian Rhapsody?
7.
Nope.
9.
It's actually 5 minutes and 55 seconds. So 6 would have been the right answer.
I was going to say 6, but then I didn't.
Yep. Okay. Well, it's 2-0 at the end of the first round, or 2-0.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. So yes, because you might not have understood me with speaking all this.
I did have to ask what 9:30 meant when I was in England. I was like, "That's 9:30, right?"
Yeah, they say 9:30. Yeah. They don't even say the past. It's just 9:30.
Right, 9:30.
All right, I got to bring something in here with. I've been searching. Well, the reason I've been looking around is I've been searching for something, which I think I found. I need your opinion. It's going to be kind of funny.
Okay.
I finally went to YouTube and found quiz show buzzers. So there's different ones here that we're gonna use for the next quiz. So
okay, cool.
So first of all, this one. Tell me if you can hear this.
No.
Nope. You heard
Hear
that
that?
one?
I heard that one.
I heard that.
Heard
Yeah.
that.
Okay. Oh, you got quite a.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yes.
Well, what kind of buzzer we want? We want the
for
buzzer
login.
which is the login buzzer.
Yeah, the previous one. No, that's
Wow.
Want to tell.
That's after you go to Chipotle.
well, that's Space Age. That's to the point.
That's
I like that
that's
one.
a good wrong quiz. It's called quiz bad choice buzzer effects. I'll do some more. These are all done on keyboards. Now, what we want is
We need the Family Feud ones, like the right answer and wrong answers. Those are the
you
best.
had a good wrong answer one up there.
yeah, we did. Well, I'm gonna keep it alive here.
Okay. Well, we'll keep that around
This
for.
is more important than the show.
Oh, but I want to find out about Amy Brick's life story.
Ooh, okay.
Okay, hang on. Wait.
Okay, you got a couple more to test out there.
Did you hear that one?
No.
Nope. I feel like I'm having a hearing test at school.
You are.
Right. Raise your finger.
Right.
Yeah.
Put your hand up in the little booth.
Okay, I'm just going to share one more screen, and then we're going to hear about Amy Brick, if we want to. So I did find this one in honor of Amy Brick.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Oh, go back. You got it.
Yes.
Oh,
But that's wrong answer. We still need a buzz in. I've got the answer.
okay.
Anyway, let's talk about Amy. Just, she's here. Might
She's
as
here.
well.
Why not?
Amy,
Yes.
how are you?
Did you say how am I? I'm great.
I thought you said, "Who are you?" So-
Yeah, I was like,
How
what?
are you?
I don't know.
Are you any
Hello?
relation? There's a
It's Sergeant Pepper.
columnist in England named Samantha Brick. There's no relation, right?
I don't think so. My last name is a married name. So when I was talking to my husband the first time and I heard his last name, I was like, well, that's a good one. Maybe I'll make this work. So
What's your maiden name?
Ford, like the car, but with an E on the end. So I was spending my whole life saying it's Ford, like the car, with an E on the end, and then being called Forde and all sorts of things. But I mean, I really like my maiden name and I've come to appreciate it more. Obviously, it's been a long time since I've had to use it much, but my maiden name is Irish, and that's how Ford is spelled in Ireland, with an E.
Oh yeah.
And my husband's last name, supposedly, I just assumed they were Masons, right? Like they did something with bricks, but it might also have been about their personalities. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well,
like if you're a brick.
Yeah, no, I get it.
You remind me of a woman I knew in London who was on BBC for a long time and read the news. I forget what her maiden name was, but her first name was Fenella, and she married a guy whose last name was Fudge.
Wow.
And she just said, "All right, that's my name." So she was Fenella Fudge when she'd be reading the news, and
that's like Mike Myers in I think it's Austin Powers Gold Member. He's in Vegas, and Robert Wagner with the eye patch is playing, the evil guy, and he's got his beautiful, sexy girl. They're at the poker table, and so, I believe her name is Falada. My name is Falada. What's your last name? Vagina. Your name is Falada Vagina. Same joke.
Okay, one more on that realm, and then we'll move on. I knew a woman.
Sorry, I didn't get much sleep, folks.
I knew a woman in high school named Jackie Newman, and she married a guy whose name was Richard Knopf, and she became Jackie Knopf, and that really did happen. Although she became Jacqueline Knopf, just as
you have to be careful.
We have a woman from Orange County on our show. Now she's just north of Orange County.
Yeah,
she's an
escapee. What?
Yeah, we're still in LA County, isn't it?
It is LA County. It is a toe dip out of Orange County.
Toe dip. That's about being a comedian. This is probably the number one thing that fascinates me about you. And I want to tell you, I'm fascinated by a lot of people in the comedy business. And then another level where I'm really fascinated by people in the comedy business, whether they're famous or not. And one of the things about you, we met down at this gig down in
Huntington. Huntington Beach. It was in Orange County.
Hello.
What happened?
Hello?
Yeah, Hello? There you are. Okay.
Oh, there we go. It's just my headphones. But you were explaining to me that you grew up in Orange County or an Orange County conservative family or neighborhood or enclave. And being a comedian, it was kind of like we were discussing. This might have been what I was asking you, prompting you, rather than what you were telling me, although I don't remember. Maybe it just came out from you. But there was sort of a conflict of coming from a conservative, moneyed background. What are you fucking laughing at? No money. But people think they have
My
money
dad's watching this going, what?
Well,
sorry, go ahead.
Because you got money because you go to Outback on Fridays, But no, what I'm saying is that there is a perception up here in Liberalville, in Hollywood, in Crazyville, in Stupidville, in Hollywood, that people down in Orange County are, they're like, sharpening their swords, and they're all Trumpers, but and we know that's not true, but that there's money and there's golf clubs, private clubs and things, and there's nothing wrong with that, and that's fine. But that my premise is that becoming a comedian is usually a rebellious act unto itself.
Oh.
And I've never known a rich person, with the exception of Francesca Hilton, the daughter of Ava Gabor,
Zsa
Zsa Gabor, was fuck it up, who tried stand-up, who was a wonderful character actress, but tried stand-up at the Comedy Store, made her premiere gig in a $7,000 sequin dress, and her routine was about how tough it was to grow up with only 2 chauffeurs, rather than everyone had 5 or something like that. And my mother was Ava Gabor, and let me tell you how tough it was. And I suppose a Hollywood insider thing would have been good, but you couldn't commercialize it. My only point is this: coming from a conservative family, comedians tend to be rebellious or flag waving. That's what comedians tend to do: either rebel or carry the flag of a tribe.
So the question is,
I don't know.
the question is, are you
got any single women that would like sort of a
upbringing?
75-year-old? No, I don't know what.
Was there a generation gap in your family, or I mean, if you grew up there?
Do you see? Yeah, is there a generation gap? And do you see? Have you encountered any interesting insights or difficulties? I mean, obviously, being a woman in this business, not so much these days, but maybe still these days, is difficult. It's a male-dominated business, male-dominated culture. But coming from a conservative world,
Right. Okay. Well, first of all,
answer the question.
I was waiting for the end. Okay. So
There's never an end with me.
Oh, I know.
In fact, back in 1987, no, go on.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Okay. So the question is, am I rebelling? I am 51 years old. I am not rebelling. I mean, 51. Actually, and I wanted to say what's interesting, I haven't been doing this forever. My very first show was 8 years ago today. So, and when I say show, it was a bar show. But okay, so here's an example of that. I go to this show that I've been invited to be in, and it's like in Anaheim in a dark parking lot. And I do always have this, you have like an internal voice that's talking, or maybe that's why I'm a comic, because that's what's always been going on in my head. And that that person is usually my dad, and it'll just be a quote of something else he said in the past.
Right.
So I get to this parking lot in the dark, and I'm like looking around, and it looks, like I'm there to do a drug deal or, a trick. And I hear my dad say, "No reason to be here." And then I say, "But I said I would be here. So I made a commitment." And I heard him say, "Well, you made a commitment, so you got to get in there." Okay. Like literally that's all in my head. So I walk in, there's no one in this bar, no one, except for I see these fancy people. And I'm like, what? Like it's incongruent. What are they doing here? And what I notice about the man is that he has a shirt that's pressed like really nicely. And I just kind of focus on that pressed shirt. And I walk up because I'm trying to figure out who to check in with. I've never done a show before. And I walk over and I go, "Oh, Jesus Christ, my parents are there." That fancy man with the pressed shirt is my dad. He's there because I'm an only child. And that you still go do everything you watch everything your kid does. Even when I was like 43.
How did you lose your virginity? They weren't there. That's the joke.
We're going for that
They're
one.
there for everything. Well, that's awful. What did you? I had my.
It was great.
My dad.
It was great.
It was
great. And I came up
Were there
with
other people in the audience besides your parents?
Well, eventually other people came, and then I realized it was really a glorified open mic. And we were just kind of hanging out with, like the other 10 comedians that were on the show. And I made some jokes about my mom, and those kind of tracked. I don't remember what they were, but they were good. And I had a better time performing in front of them that time than the last time when I did a show at their country club, and it just sucked. It just was like, it was not.
Now, let me ask you, when it sucks, because guys are different than women in general, and we're all different individuals anyway. But do you think? Well, I ask you this. I don't know if anyone can answer this because but is it harder on a guy or a woman, a man or a woman, when they're doing stand up and they bomb?
Isn't it the same? Aren't we the same people who we don't stand in front of people that we don't know talking about our lives because we're normal, right? So you go.
Well, are we talking about? Okay, that brings up another door there. do men or women tend to talk about their lives on stage as opposed to outside observational comedy?
I find it to be very similar. I mean, I watched Matt Rife today. Just happened to watch that. I mean, he's talking about his life. He's not going into the crazy detail that I go into, like when I go into far too much storytelling. But I think, what I do think is that there's more, and I feel bad saying this, I feel like there is more authenticity in a woman's stand-up, because we're talking about like things that really matter or happened, or I don't know, or maybe also mundane things. I'm really, really into Leanne Morgan right now, like really into her.
Yeah.
You guys know
Tell me who that is, the writer?
Texan, right? Or Tennessean, yes.
Yeah, Leanne Morgan. She
my
is
girlfriend
on
really loved her. Yeah.
she's fantastic. She's on a tour right now. She's a stand-up comic.
Okay.
She's been doing it for 21 years.
Mm-hmm.
She's on a tour called Just Getting Started. And she is phenomenal. She's totally clean. If I could just be the opener to her opener is named Karen Mills. Karen Mills is really great too. But I mean, she's talking about stuff that's real. Like she talked about, I went to see her in San Diego. She was phenomenal 2 weeks ago, talking about that she went into a room in her house and it's like, I can never find pieces of paper to write my stuff down on because I'm just somebody's mom at the end of the day. And she's talking about, she goes and she finds these notebooks that her kids would beg her to buy at Target, 15 years ago. And they'd go home and write one dramatic sentence in it and then never use it again. She's like, so I pull that out and I start writing in that. That's stuff that I do. I'm constantly looking for something to write something down on. And it's usually the back of an envelope or whatever. Yeah. So, I mean, that kind of stuff I just relate to. I don't know. That was a weird.
Do you have kids as well?
I do. I have 2 children. I have a daughter who is 18. She just went away to college, which is good for both of us.
Yeah.
And
that's a good opening line, by the way.
Right. And I work really hard to keep her there. And my other daughter is in 8th grade. And she is very funny. To give you an example about her, she hates the story, so I love to tell it. In 4th grade, I went to her parent conference, and her teacher was very, very concerned. And I'm like, oh, okay, this big concern. She goes, I need to talk to you about something. And I said, okay, what? And she said, after your daughter did her book report, there was a microphone. So it was like an interview microphone, the kind you clip on yourself. The kids were able to use this microphone.
Mm-hmm.
She dropped the mic at the end of the book report, dropped the mic and walked away. Yep. And she said, that was very destructive. She could have ruined the microphone. And I started laughing. I was like, that is the funniest thing ever. And I said, you know what I do as a hobby, right? And she's like, no. And I said, I'm a stand-up comic. That is the funniest thing ever. Like, I love it. And then she said, well, it's very serious. She could have ruined the mic. And I said, how much was the mic? And she said, $30. And I said, I'll buy you 10. Who cares about your mic? Yes. Is there a background? What's going on?
I'm sorry, what?
You're getting some interference from somewhere.
Yeah, is there like a train going by?
Oh, no, it's a guy with a leaf blower. We got the leaf blower guy here.
Oh, I'm glad he showed up. He's early.
Yeah, I'm going to shut the window. Bear with me. I'll be right back. Keep going.
Why is isn't it raining there? Okay.
Yeah,
I have more questions than answers. Okay, so then, yes, I have
got a job. Yeah, so.
I have 2 kids and a husband, and 2 dogs.
Oh, it's it's the nuclear family.
Yes.
You don't have any sons. Yeah, I've been married 3 times and haven't had any children at all. So.
Well, there you go.
Last time I was married, I had a stepson, so I at least got to experience a little bit of that. But I have changed diapers in my time. God, that is he blowing right next to your window or something? Yeah. Okay, he's gone. He's gone.
Yeah, and he's just outside the street. He'll be gone and he's heading downhill. He's almost past the building. I apologize.
Does he not know it's
I
raining?
hate those things. And I'm sorry, what?
It's raining, so why is he out there?
Great question.
Right?
This is because Hollywood is surreal. So he's actually the streets are wet, and he's leaf blowing leaves off a wet street.
Because that's what he does at 3:00 when you're doing a podcast.
Because he has a regular job and wants to get paid like the rest of us, honey.
All right.
Uh-huh. Woo! Okay, now Mr. Natural from San Francisco. I knew this guy. He claimed to be the actual Mr. Natural from the Robert Crumb comics, but he's post. I knew a girl named Mavis Parkenfarker. I don't know.
That relates to something we were talking about maybe 20 minutes ago.
Right.
Maybe. But now, you know what time it is, kids? It's time for Nicked, our segment where we examine comedy material that might have been stolen consciously or might have been stolen unconsciously, but certainly duplicated along the way. We'll be right back with a special guest. I say special because it makes everybody feel good to be the special guest.
Mm-hmm.
Amy Brea. Welcome to Nicked, where we examine the dark side of comedy. All right, so I never have anything to start this conversation. Rick,
I do. I have one, and I'm guilty.
Is this something you stole by accident?
Yes. I remember it was about 1998. It was during the time when the Monica Lewinsky, Bill Clinton thing was going on. And I was just on stage kind of talking about what was going on. And then I said, other countries wouldn't raise such a fuss about it. In France, you can imagine, what is the problem? He is president, no?
Yeah.
And I thought that I'd heard that in conversation. It turned out that the comic who was going up a couple comics after me, that was his joke, and that I'd actually heard him do it. And I'd somehow thought it was
that's mortifying.
And I apologized profusely. I just said, damn, I thought I'd heard that in conversation. I didn't realize that I'd heard it on stage.
Did he forgive you?
Oh yeah, he was good. Well, we've had him on the show, Michael Dane. We've had him on the show before.
Yeah, I know. We had him on the show. Amy, did anything like that ever happen to you where you did a joke and you realized, oh my God, this is a joke from the person I'm opening for, and I didn't remember it?
Well, and I'm trying to think what it was. I came up with something that was really good like last week, and I explained it to my husband, and he's like, that's an old joke. And I'm like, no, and I don't remember what it is right now. And so I wish I remembered. I'm going to have to text it to you later.
Interesting. Yeah, we can talk about it in next week's segment.
I can't think of what it was, but
what about it? Go on.
I don't think that I've really ever taken anything from someone, but I've definitely watched other people and then thought, oh, I've said that before, or something similar, right? But I don't think I've ever stolen anything. I mean, I've heard about people doing that. Like I've heard about like huge blow-ups of, people outright stealing. Or did you guys watch Mrs. Maisel, the marvelous Mrs. Maisel?
I've never seen it. I haven't had television.
Yeah.
Well, in that series, obviously it's not real, but so much of it, you guys should both watch it. It's based on a lot of real stuff. And the main character at the beginning, Mrs. Maisel, her husband is the comic because it's the 50s. She's not the comic. Yeah. And she goes to a comedy club, and her thing is to make a brisket so that he can get up at a better time slot at the open mic.
Wait. She's going to make a brisket and give it to the producer of the open mic or something.
Yeah, to give it to the lady who runs the bar, basically. Yeah. And
good idea.
It's like a drug deal. It's like, you bring the brisket. Yeah, I did. Can he have 11 o'clock instead of 1:30? Okay, he can have 11:30. But what makes her lose all respect for her husband is she figures out that he's been stealing Bob Newhart's act about the telephone. The one where he's talking on the phone.
Yeah, it takes place in the early 60s. I did watch pretty much the first series, but it hasn't aired on regular TV over here. But I watched, when I was in America in March, I was staying at my brother's, and I watched about 6 episodes. And they have Lenny Bruce is in that.
Yeah,
you gotta watch it. I mean, I got kind of overwhelmed with everyone suggesting watch this and watch that, and then it was like the Umbrella Academy. I heard about that for the majority of 2020. And you got to watch the Umbrella Academy, and I thought, oh, this already sounds tacky. But then I started watching it, and I liked it. And then, for me, it jumped the shark at around the 7th episode. And I watched the chess one with
the Gambit, Queen's
Yeah.
I
Gambit.
thought that Queen's
Queen's
Gambit. I
Gambit.
thought that was wonderful from start to finish. I thought that Stranger Things jumped the shark about the 7th or 8th episode in the first season. I stopped watching after that.
Where we were with that. We made it through one series of Breaking Bad and then said, okay, well, we like it, but we don't need to watch every episode.
Yeah, I exactly. Now the only series that I've seen, and I found it online during the pandemic, and I think it was executive produced by Ben Stiller. It's called In the Dark. And it's about a blind woman. I think they shoot it all in Toronto, but I think it doubles as Chicago. But it's a accidental murder mystery, and this woman brilliantly played by I'm going to find it now. I remember her name. It's actually a boy's name on IMDb. But I watched like 3.5 seasons of this. It was so wonderful, and these characters, each character was great. There was not a second wasted dialogue or plot line. It really knew what the fuck it was doing. Perry Matfield is the lady. Murphy is a hard-driving, hard-drinking, disaffected 20-something. She's also blind. Her life comes crashing down when she stumbles upon what she sure is the lifeless body of her closest friend in the alley outside the apartment. Now, that sounds a bit trite.
How did she know that it was her friend?
Well, this is part of, good point.
Yes.
Maybe I better call the network and tell them to look into this.
I'm just
All right,
confused.
so all right, let's get back to this segment here. This segment is we're being a bit soft here, Rick, you and I. I think we really need to tear it up. Let's strangle somebody nameless. Let's do real damage to the thieves in the world.
Well, it seems like every time we've done the next segment with English comics, they always bring up the same guy.
Stephen. Don't mention the full name.
Yeah, and and the incident between him and this other guy who.
What other guy?
Mike Gunn, who confronted him, and
Mike Gunn did. Oh,
yeah,
he's an interesting cat. Mike Gunn. He's a really sweet man. He looks like he's the a gangster enforcement for a successful undertaker in East London.
But his whole story, his Edinburgh show is about him being a former heroin addict. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh God, this is one of the things I miss, Amy. If you ever get a chance, I've done Edinburgh. One-man show wise.
You're going to say I've done heroin. So,
yeah. I've done heroin. I recommend heroin. You know what?
If you start in Orange County will love that. Heroin,
I was about to say, if your dad's watching, sir, I know you want your daughter to be an artist, okay?
No, he probably doesn't.
Well, I'm going to tell you, just anyway, forget the prescriptions. Go heroin.
So much cheaper and easier. No waiting around at the pharmacy.
Yeah.
Do it yourself. It's a DIY.
So do we have any nicked subjects here that deserve to be guillotine, should be
Yeah, I mean, you guys are still working the clubs, so you've probably witnessed it more than I have in recent days. So I have a gig December 9th in Camden.
Are you seeing any comedy theft, or does comedy thievery tend to happen more often when there's new comics who are just have no act?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's, I'm sure if you go to an open mic night, and I still remember the first time I went to a stand-up comedy show about 1977 or so, because my partner and I were just working cabarets and, pubs and stuff. But remember going to a comedy show and recognizing certain bits from like comedy albums that I had at the time. And even further on into that, I remember big names. This one very big name doing a bit about, you got to wash your ass. And there, that was the title of a Red Fox album. So,
Yeah.
and this comic that was doing that bit, I felt like, I have the album. I felt like, bringing it to when he was on at the store and just, throwing the album on stage. But that, that wouldn't have gone over too well with his throng of, admirers. But I thought, well, isn't he aware, or is he just blatantly stealing it?
Well, I think so. If I were to do any admission of me unconsciously or last minute making the wrong decisions, I think once or twice, and this isn't the normal once or twice, which is minimizing thousands of times, but I think literally once, because I did a lot of crowd work in the UK, and Brian Bradley, the late Brian Bradley, he did a lot of crowd work, and he had some like great lines, but Brian complimented me, and I think he was actually wanting my line, my Australian line, which is because he had a bunch of great, oh, you're from Australia. What are you gay? And no, I was down in Australia, but I had a great time. But I was on a plane pulling out of Sydney, and that's a gay joke. Yeah. My line that I came up with, which is I come up with these great lines at the Comedy Store, but I could rarely use them because I would only use them when they were needed. One of which was if I had someone in the audience from Australia who had some kind of profession or something, and they had a bit of an attitude for me talking to them, but fun, but a little bit of an attitude. I would say, "What are you? Are you an airline pilot? Are you qualified from Australia? Are you qualified?" So I didn't know if I made that up, but I certainly take blame for it. And I did one of Brian's lines, pulling out of Sydney. I think I was in either Manchester or Liverpool. I remember doing that. And I remember as it was coming out of my mouth, I went, "This is Brian's line." And then the other voice was saying, "You're in England playing in front of 57 drunken Liverpudlians. What do they know of Brian Bradley?" And I go, "That's not the point. It's your conscience. It's what gets around, comes around. It's not your line. It's Brian's line." I go, "Well, okay, but I mean, and you're having this conversation in your head as you're about to deliver it."
And then you deliver it anyway.
I delivered it because I think I was in it was do or die, I think Brian would have said, been on stage watching going, I would have done the same thing. Don't go for it. Go for it. I think there's occasions when you feel like your back's up against the wall and your mates, even though you're borrowing from them, would understand if you had no other way around it to use one of their lines. I'm not justifying it. I'm just saying things, you find yourself in situations you never thought you'd find yourself in. But, going to the other side of this argument about people using material, you've had a great example, Rick, about the pit bull, the drive-by shootings. Would you tell Amy that one? That's a great one.
Yeah, because I heard 3 different comics use the line, and yet it was not, they were 3 very different comics, so I don't think anyone was stealing from each other. But the line was, this was back when there was drive-by shootings, and also there was stuff with pit bulls. And saying, man, it's really, really tough driving in LA. I'm driving on the freeway. Someone threw a pit bull in my car. And
I think I've actually heard that.
Yeah. And I can remember the 3 guys that did that line. One is the late Kip Adata, but the other 2 were Blake Clark and Steve Kravitz. Very different comics.
Very original comics that would never steal.
Very original guys. And there's no way that they would have hurt each other. And Kip Adata was very original too. So although,
and of course the worst version, was there ever a comedian? So we all know about the Joe Rogan accusations against Carlos Mencia, and you and I knew Carlos. I knew him when he first came to the Comedy Store as under a different name, and Mitzi was taking him under her hairy wing, and I don't know what that means, feathered wing, and so he was a nice guy starting out, learning what's going on. Hey, how you doing? My name is Ned. That's his real name, Ned. Ned Holness. Ned Holness. And then he developed a reputation that was, later on explosively exposed by Joe Rogan on stage in a very confrontational manner. And then there are people online who do these video compares. Here I am doing the line. My chunk of comedy I'm doing it here in 1997, and here's Carlos doing it in 1999, exactly the same. Very hard thing to disprove. But aside from Carlos, has anyone actually, aside from Milton Berle, we talked about Milton because he made fun of himself stealing jokes. I don't know how he got away with it, but is there anyone in the modern times that you know of, Rick or Amy, who made a career of just vampiring other people's own material, getting away with it, building a career, never getting called out on it?
Eddie Griffin.
And we'll be right back. But Eddie Griffin got called out on it, and he never became a household name. Could that have held him back from Kevin Hart status?
Maybe. He did a sold-out concert over here about 5 years ago. There was mostly, to the black community. I mean, he played to a mostly black audience.
Was he racist?
Somehow, yeah, he was screening people at the door when they came in. Sorry,
Amy, you just did what? Sorry for interrupting, Rick, but I was just noticing on the bottom of my looking here, because Amy's on the bottom block. You just did sort of a get the hair out of the way, moving your head, kind of movie star thing, which tells the interviewer and the host of the show, "I'm fucking bored. I got kids to feed." You just did one of these hair things. In fact,
no, I fed her and watered her before I left.
Oh,
yeah,
good.
That's true. In fact, we have breaking news here. Breaking news.
Oh, that's such a bad one.
All right, that's not fair. I won't spring it on you.
I mean, you can. Go ahead. I just look really fat in that one. It's fine.
Oh, it was about you being fat. Jesus,
yeah.
Fuck. Get into comedy. Let me tell you something, honey. As your agent, let me tell you.
Go ahead.
Tell you. You get fatter, you'll make it boring, this business. Okay?
In this world. And one of them was in a meeting with me today. So I show up and it's like, this chick doesn't like me. I don't like her. She knows why. She's the one who was in the wrong, and everyone knows it. And it was so cool because they're sitting in this meeting and she totally farted. I swear to God. Totally farted.
I can't hear that. It's so echoey in that room.
Oh, basically, my nemesis farted in a huge meeting. It was amazing.
Oh, what is that? Wait a minute. Is that the story that you told, or is that what happened?
That's exactly what happened. It's the story I told. That happened.
No,
that
I mean
day.
it's not happening. Oh, is that what's happening? But it's so echoey. You're echoey. The sound shouldn't be echoey in a comedy room. And
it's not echoey.
Don't you hear echo in this?
No.
I mean, listen to yourself. Listen to yourself.
So it's like my nemesis farted. Like, really? I was like, thank you, baby Jesus. It was like the greatest gift that ever happened to me, ever. And they've been talking about it all day. And like, literally, I came back to my office and everyone's like, you're really hyper. I'm like, I know she farted. It was awesome. Sorry, I'm super loud. It's like an ongoing issue. And I'm really loud.
Definitely a comedy club. Somebody walks in front of the camera.
Yeah, this is too hard to watch because for a lot of reasons. No offense. I just think it's echoey. There's someone walking.
Yeah. No, it's fine.
And you already said, you see, I'm going to learn something from Uncle Stephen here. You said this is the worst thing. I'm fat. So now I'm aware that you're uncomfortable.
Heavy there.
Yeah, that you're uncomfortable. Not that you're heavy, but you're uncomfortable. And that's a thing that we, I put on a little weight in the last few years, and I'm aware of what I used to look like on stage and what I look like now, and that's like my big concern, actually. More than I'm confident in my material as long as I source my material and edit my material and refine my material and adjust it for the venue and be prepared. And my guitar is tuned up and I'm wearing my best and my beard trim. But that's the last thing that goes in my mind is that I'm too fucking fat to be on stage right now.
Well, I'm thinner now than I was there. So I kind of feel like I would like some credit there.
Do you think the audience expects fat people? You're not a fat person, but if you were, let's say, 100 pounds more, do you think the audience
would not be able to walk around if I was I would have a walker, a rascal at the very least.
But the audience expects a comic who's fat,
to be funny,
to be self-deprecating, and to
talk about fat.
Yeah, well, it's literally the elephant in the room.
Right, because you're the elephant in the room. And And I had a comic, a pretty well-known comic was, I kind of thought he was a jerk to me, but maybe he wasn't. He was pretty rude. But what he told me is
comic being rude?
Well, but it was like uncalled for. But he was like, you could be, this is what happened. He said, you could be like Roseanne. And I'm like, well, yeah, but, and all I'm hearing when he's saying that is all the work it would go into to be Roseanne of the 80s, right? How she was always in clubs in Denver, working her ass off. She had all these kids. And in my head, like the real work that it took to become Roseanne Barr in 1985. And I said, I could never do that because I have a family and I have a business and I couldn't do it. And I really offended him. Then he went on his podcast and
Who's the him? I'm sorry, I lost
I'm not going to say
who was the him?
Another comic.
Just another comic. Okay.
A famous comic. Decimated me. Didn't use my name. Decimated me. And said,
on basis of what?
Said that I was being stuck up because I put him, like, that I was rejecting of his notion that I could be the next Roseanne. Not that I could be the next Roseanne, but like how I was like, I said, hey, I've got like a business. I've got these kids. Like, I can't have that dream.
We called Amy.
Well, let me just finish the thought and then you'll get
it. Before you get to the point, I want to point out, he's talking out of school. It was a private conversation between two professionals.
Yeah.
But his point, what was interesting is that he took what I said and took it so differently than how I was talking from a place of self-doubt and a place of being overwhelmed with, I have a real, I run a company and I run that company because that's what feeds my family. And he took that and just decided that I was being so rude to him. I'm like, I'm not being rude at all. It was a weird thing. So he goes on his podcast and I'm watching it on Instagram and I'm like, I don't even have the sound on and I'm seeing my words and I'm like, holy shit, this is a conversation that we had. It was crazy.
Yeah. But that's not where you want to hear it.
Yeah. It was
because there's no back and forward. It's all his point of view.
Yeah, there was nothing I could say about it, and I felt just defeated and shitty for like. And
also, you wouldn't want to be Roseanne now, anyway.
No,
but even the then Roseanne, you wouldn't want to be, because every success is of their times. The hottest comic on the rise, as we all know, is Matt Rife. Good-looking guy, made it on TikTok. Funny guy, good-looking guy, young guy. He's going to be big. He's got a Netflix special coming out already. Anyway. He's of the times because of making it on TikTok, for example. That's of the times. For being young, for talking the way he talks. He's of the times. Those are going to make it. And that's just the way it is. And, Roseanne came along at a time when there was so much glitz and glamour coming out of and dominating the comedy scene, the Prince, as our friend Rich Scheidler calls him, Eddie Murphy. There were two types of comics, the POW, like Richard Pryor, who comes from a very difficult childhood, POW comic, and the Prince. And Eddie Murphy was a prince, or is a prince. And when he came out, he was a prince. He just held himself princely and was king-like. And there was so much of this glamour. This is a theory I have. There's so much glamour at the time, money, millions of dollars, worldwide fame, sex, drugs, and rock and roll, lifestyle, without wasting years in acting school or learning how to play the cello. Suddenly, the freak of the family is hugely successful. So I think, in a way, Roseanne was a American middle class reaction to that. The authenticity of Roseanne was her number one thing. It wouldn't matter what she was, racially, economically. It had a lot to do with it, sort of trailer trashy, but proud of it. But it was authentic. You remember Rick? There was a comic. She still works. She's a wonderful lady. I forget her real name, but she put a bandana around her head, and she talked like, has a cigarette and talked like she's from the South, like she's a waitress. Her name was Brenda Lee or something like that.
Oh, yeah, Etta Mae.
Vicky Bart.
Etta Mae.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Mitzi loved her, and she was great. I loved Etta Mae. I thought she was one of the funniest people I ever saw at the Comedy Store. But that was clearly, she's clearly was doing a character. Everyone in the audience knew that that was made up, right? In the same way that everyone knew that Pee-wee Herman was made up, and in the way that everyone in the early days knew that Andrew Dice Clay was an actor doing an interpretation dance of that tough guy. And until Andrew took a big eraser and erased the origins and then came out as that guy, and then people believed it, and then it became both successful and extremely controversial at the same time. My point is this, is that authenticity goes a long way. Always has and always will. That's one of the things I like about Amy Brick. She's authentic. And I think authenticity is what keeps us sane, who we are. How many times I don't know about myself, I've sent out strong emails that I believe are making sense and to the point, and then I cringe rethinking what I sent or the person.
I think what Amy was saying earlier, that comedian Leanne
Morgan.
Yeah, that's a pretty authentic. That's a real person.
Yes, and she's now, and she is
she's in her 50s, isn't
she's
she?
Like 58. Yeah.
Listen, my act has been working a lot better for me because I come out and I say, thank you. Hi, I'm Stephen Allen Green. I name on the wall, comedy legend because I'm old and my name's on the wall of the Comedy Store. And I wrote for I was on Conan as an actor, but I was on Conan and I hosted Comedy Central in the UK. I didn't character, but I wrote for Roseanne. I wrote for Leonard Arsenio. And I did this and I did that. I'm giving all my credits because they just don't do credits anymore with introducing you. No matter how many times I write it down, 2 credits, they can't even get it right. So I just do it myself. But then I'm coming around to a point, which is, but I self-identify as an Uber driver and I get a laugh. And then it allows me to go into my Uber driving material because I'm basically saying I've done all these great, cool things, but the greatest thing I've ever done.
You've come full circle.
Well, I didn't start out driving, but the greatest thing I ever did was what I'm doing now, I think, which is to face the truth and to be open with the world about myself. I've been, I went through various phases of hiding or trying to promote myself and explain to people, this credit in England is really important if you only knew. And then, why am I trying to impress you? What can you do for me? I've just reached the end of my tether with all this promotional stuff.
We've got about 6 minutes left.
Let's do our last pub quiz. What's the score coming into the pub quiz? I'll give us the intro.
It's 2-0, Amy.
All right, let's make this last one. Give it a short intro. 2-1, Amy. How many questions are we going to do here?
We'll try and do 3 here. 24.
Okay, 3 questions. So, Amy, you're ahead by 2. I've got what? Zip?
Yes. That's what the man said.
In order to win, I have to get every question. Fine. Okay.
Okay. Oh, gosh.
The protege thing's over.
What's that phrase thing that you were saying earlier, baby?
All right.
Thank you for showing me.
Thank you for breaking that down.
I like it.
Okay.
Very good.
Religion. Stephen will get this one. Which Jewish holiday celebrates Moses leading the Israelites out of Egypt?
Passover.
Passover is the correct answer.
Good job.
That's not fair. So you're giving me questions because I'm behind.
That just happened to be the one that,
Fair enough.
All right. Let's see about no one will get this one. What's the collective noun for a group of giraffes?
Oh, that's funny because Lauren Kraut, who's in the next room, who came down from San Francisco to do the benefit that's not happening, is a big giraffe freak, Loves the giraffe. Okay, so what's the question?
What is the collective noun? Like
like a murder of crows.
Yeah, a murder.
Is it a gaggle?
No, it actually does have. It kind of relates to their height, to the fact that they're tall.
I don't know.
Well,
I like gaggle.
Yeah.
Wait. Give me a chance.
But the word is tower.
A tower is a collection of
giraffes. I like that.
Giraffes.
Yeah.
I don't like it as much as gaggle, but okay.
I don't like it. No, I agree with him. I don't like it at all.
My old partner used to say, we like to be educational as well as boring. So
or what's that Steve Martin line. When you say something, have it be interesting. It makes it so much more interesting for the listener, or something like that.
Yeah. All right, let's try this one. Modern literature.
Oh, okay.
I scowled at myself in the mirror is the opening line of what 21st century bestseller?
I smelled it myself first in the mirror.
I scowled at myself. I frowned.
Wait, read it to me again slowly.
I scowled, SCOWLED, at
Yes.
myself in the mirror.
20th century?
21st century bestseller.
American Psycho or Less Than Zero, or no, that was 80s.
You got a guess, Amy?
I don't know.
I'm guessing it wasn't Less Than Zero. Was that really a book?
Yeah, it was by Brent Easton Ellis, but it was in the 80s.
Yeah.
Give us another clue. Give us a clue. Give us a clue.
There was a hit movie made of it.
Give us a clue about the movie.
Was sex.
Oh, 50 Shades of Grey.
50 Shades of Grey is the right answer. that was a good clue.
Thank you.
Okay, 50 Shades of Grey.
So 3-1.
I don't even get the question. All right, go on.
Okay, one more here. I saw a good.
I don't feel like that counted though. That wasn't really fair.
Well, you did.
What? So she got it. It's no.
Okay. I don't think it's fair.
4-1. I'm not going to win. So we got to do one.
But I win your Uber for this, right? I win your car.
You win my car, but we should do an all for nothing. We should do it all, or let's have an all or nothing question. If Amy agrees, Amy, you want to do an all or nothing question?
Yeah.
Winner take all. Give us a winner take all question. And Brian, I do not want you to tilt the table in my direction with any Hanukkah jokes or old man, or weirdo.
This is a really good one.
Okay.
What inner organ of the body continues to grow until the average age of 25?
The inner organ of the body that continues to grow
and until the age of 25.
Is this all or nothing taken? I got the answer too. But Amy put her hand up first. So
all right.
How do we do this?
What is your guess, Amy?
Is it the brain?
It is the brain.
I was going to say the brain too. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, then we tied, so we have to go again.
No, we have to go again.
Oh, Lordy. Okay.
Sorry.
Let me find one that.
You should be prepared.
World history. Well, yeah, I'm looking. Let's try this one. The new Rolling Stones album. This is which of these four does not appear on the new Rolling Stones album?
Which of these four songs?
Which of these four artists does not have
artists? Well, you see, I haven't. Okay, so I'm of that generation. This is not. It's not fair to Amy.
That's fine. I was raised by boomers.
Yeah.
Who did not listen to the Stones or the Beatles or anything cool.
What did your parents listen to? The Monkees?
No.
Which were cool?
No. Ew.
Carpenters?
No, they listened to Elvis.
Oh, okay.
I was raised by. I'm a Beatles fan, raised by Elvis people.
Oh, that's interesting.
All right.
Yes,
all right.
and maybe that's another thing where I went against the grain. In fact, can I say something funny?
Yeah.
I'll just tell you a real quick thing.
Yeah.
My husband got into the Beatles because of me. And so he's sitting next to my dad like 6 months ago and he goes, well, what's your favorite Beatles song? And he goes, what? And he goes, none. And he's like, what do you mean? And he can't believe my dad doesn't have a favorite Beatles song. And it's like, I've been married to my husband for, almost 3 decades. And he just figured out that I got this Beatles thing all for myself. Like, I don't know. It wasn't that funny, but I was shocked that he didn't know that.
I'm a little bit worried about your dad. I don't understand this at all.
You're worried about him?
Yeah.
Yeah. My nephew was born in 1982 and he got into the Beatles when he was about 10.
Yeah. So, there you go.
Hey, look, not everybody can love the Beatles and we shouldn't make now. But I want to point out that George Drew in Van Nuys, California has posted, and this probably was posted a while back at actually 328. So not that far back, but Sam the Beast encouraged Roseanne Barr to audition for Mitzi. That's right. I was there. I don't know how George Drew knew this. All right, let's do our final question, winner take all question. Make it fair, Brian. Make it fair for everybody, okay? Please. Right. And by the way, next week, ladies and gentlemen, we have the wonderful Anita Wise. She's our guest from back east. Wonderful comic, brilliant person. I can't wait to have her on the show. Anita Wise. And then Charles Fleischer kind of agreed to do the show, but we got to get him in on a certain time. I got to keep bugging him. All right, go on.
It's a Shakespeare question.
Okay. I'm shaking my beer.
Petruchio and Katharina are the bickering lead characters in what Shakespeare comedy?
Midsummer Night's Dream.
Nope. Do you have a guess?
Like, that's one of those, like, of course, there was a time I knew this question, this answer.
Yeah,
I'm
when you're
assuming,
studying it, like
but
in
not
high
now.
school and college.
Yeah, high school. I can
What are
see
the characters again?
Petruchio and Katharina.
Oh, The Taming of the Shrew?
Taming of the Shrew.
Ah!
That's right. Amy Brick wins. Amy Brick wins.
Wow.
We need. I got to get the. I got to make a fireworks.
Get a winner. Like
a winner
just
thing.
Confetti thingy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, my favorite thing is to be on game shows, so that's kind of.
I've been on a game show. I was on Win, Lose, or Draw. My teammates were Burt Reynolds and Dom DeLuise, and we went against Betty White and Annie Potts.
That is way better than I've been on like 5 game shows, and none of them were like that.
Yeah,
that is amazing.
Did they even have celebrities on the game shows that you went?
No, the closest thing that the celebrity hosts, I mean, so like David Alan Grier was a host, Sherry Shepherd.
Okay.
Not Ken Jennings, but like some other lady who won Jeopardy a bunch of times. And Jay Leno.
Oh, yeah.
And Jay Leno. Yeah, him.
Yeah.
Is Jay Leno basically, all right, what if Jay Leno and Bugs Bunny were in one thing, What would that be like? Yeah, well, it's not like that because over here in Hollywood, what's up, Doc?
So, well, it's late over here. I'm
past bedtime.
Yes.
Say hi to Maggie. When are we going to get Maggie on the show?
I'll just have to talk to her and see if I can convince her that it will be fun. But
and I'm doing everything I can to get Maggie to come back to England because I got to come back.
She does watch. Until
kinky. Oh, you mean the show?
Yeah, she watches the show.
I was quoting from a line when I said kinky.
Being there, yeah,
that's right.
I like to watch.
Yes. I like to watch. You ever see Being There, Amy?
Peter
great
Sellers.
Movie. The great Hal Ashby director. The last role, great role, posthumously Oscared, I believe, by Peter Sellers. And the part you dig is that they shot it in the in North Carolina, in Asheville, at the what rich family?
The Vanderbilt estate.
No,
it's just decided.
R.J. Reynolds.
It's something like that, but it's like a castle. Nice. It's like a castle. Amy, thank you. God bless you. Where are you gigging next? Let's do some promo because about 4 people watch the show.
I am looking for my next gig. I have a lot of private stuff going on. I'm going to be an auctioneer this weekend at the Elks Club in Whittier. That's lodge number 1258.
Multifaceted.
Yes, I have go ahead.
I was going to say thank you for helping me out with the Laughter Foundation benefit. I'm going to keep you in the loop. If we do another one, if we plan another one, it's going to be more practical, more local, better. I've had some great conversations yesterday with some people. I don't know. We'll see. But thank you so much. God bless you. Good luck out there. Thank you, Rick.
Great to meet you.
And
yes, thank you.
Great
so much for having me.
All right, that's our show, ladies and gents. It's been Comedy Dish. We'll see you next week with Anita Wise. Same time, same channel. Be safe. Happy Thanksgiving.
Bye, y'all.
We'll see you.
It's Comedy Dish.
Co-starring Rick Wright and Stephen